As I mentioned in my Instagram, I've wanted to put out a video kind of giving my 2 cents about NFL free agency this year, especially concerning my Chiefs. It is Tuesday, March 13th at 7:56 p.m. So this video is according to this timeline. I know there have been some transactions. I made a list yesterday and I've had to take off a lot of names because some of those guys got picked up. So if you guys see this later today or tomorrow, whenever I post this, some of these guys might already be picked up by then. This is just as of now what I think, what players I think we should try to bring on. Today, the Chiefs signed Anthony Hitchens and Sammy Watkins. So the Anthony Hitchens signing, I'm actually a fan of. I think they're going for pure potential there. I think he has the physical traits to be that Derek Johnson replacement. He has speed, he has size, he's a very good run defender. So there's some potential there. The money is a little bit high for someone that wasn't a full-time starter. He was kind of a rotational player with Sean Lee and Jalen Smith, I believe his name. But nevertheless, I like the potential there with Ragland and Hitchens inside. The Sammy Watkins signing, I know there's some mixed emotions about it because, you know, you get excited about the potential of the offense with Mahomes, with Tyreek, with Chris Conley coming back, with Kelsey, with Kareem, and Spencer Ware in the background. So there's a lot of weapons that they now have and a lot of toys that they've given Patrick Mahomes to play with. I'm not a fan of the contract simply because I think we could have been well off with the other guys that I mentioned. You know, the Hills, the Kelseys, the Kareems, the Spencer Wares, the Chris Conley coming back, Demarcus Robinson developing, and Jehu Chesson, who I think can develop as well. So I'm not a big fan of the contract, but I understand that, you know, it's an offensive league. You have to put up points. Like, our biggest struggle in the playoffs was stalling on offense, right? So they want to have as many options as possible. The contract is a little much. $60 million a year potentially is a little much. But if he pans out, I think it's a high risk, high reward type of situation. I would have preferred to allocate those resources to more defensive players. We don't have that much cap this year. I know next year I read something where it said next year the Chiefs have no dead money, which means we'll have more cap room and more flexibility. So I think the 2019 season is something that all Chiefs fans should look forward because we'll have a lot more flexibility. Patrick will still be on his rookie contract, so will Tyreek Hill, so will Kareem Hunt, so we'll have a lot more flexibility then. I like that Veach is being aggressive. Again, I don't particularly agree with the Sammy Watkins contract and how aggressive he was there. So I kind of want to go into what I believe the Chiefs should have done. Obviously, they already signed Sammy Watkins, so we can't do anything about that. But there are still some players out there that I think they can bring on for a reasonable price that are kind of under the radar. Some are kind of obvious, but let's kind of go through it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the positions that I think we need the most. Starting with pass rusher, we have Chris Jones and Justin Houston, who were excellent players last year. Chris Jones is still on his rookie contract. He's excellent. Justin Houston, I think, has become a little overrated because he hasn't put up the sack numbers, but his run defense is sensational. He still puts on pressure. He gets double team all the time. I think he's still an excellent player. So we have two guys that we can rely on. But it's the NFL. It's a passing league. You have to get to the quarterback. You have to get to a point where you have multiple guys that can come in and give you some minutes, right? So that's my number one position need. Number two, nose tackle. We don't have much there. We had Benny Logan last year, and I think he did a solid job, but he was probably just a little bit too small to go up against, the Tennessee Titans offensive line and the Pittsburgh offensive line, and the Oakland offensive line. So there was a little struggle with the run defense there. I have to do a little more research on how impactful he was, so I don't want to take jabs at him, but we could definitely use an upgrade at that position. Also, I think we should sign another corner. Obviously, trading Marcus Peters, that's a different subject for a different day. I don't want to get into that because then I'll get very emotional. I don't agree with the trade. I don't agree with what we got. But nevertheless, they traded him. We have Amerson, we have Fuller, we have Steven Nelson on a contract here, which is important to mention. We let go of Philip Gaines, thank God. So, we don't have much depth. We are kind of, left with, the wonder if Kendall Fuller is going to be that guy, or Amerson as well. So I think we should go out there and sign a corner as well. So that's the number 3 position. Number 4, safety. I think safety is not a top priority for me, because I think if we re-sign a guy like Steven Terrell, he can kind of fill in there, and Eric Murray and Sorensen, that's a solid rotation. I think people overlook the fact that Eric Berry didn't play last year, so that is such a big impact on the young guys, because they can now feed off of Berry and kind of develop easier with that kind of leadership on the field. So safety, I think we can fix that very easily by re-signing Steven Terrell. He was very underrated. We had him last year. He had an 84.9 PFF grade in the few games that he played, so he has shown some signs. I think Eric Murray can improve. I know he didn't have a great year, but I think he can improve. And our 5th position that I think that we need is guard. Left guard is kind of a question mark right now. I've been saying Parker Anger can step in there, but he didn't play all of last year due to his ACL injury the previous year, so maybe he hasn't fully recovered. I'm not sure what the situation is there, but bringing on somebody that could kind of give us a little competition there would be nice. Tackle depth, I think we really need. Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, I think, are good tackles, especially Mitchell Schwartz. I think it's extremely underrated. Having to face Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa and Von Miller and Khalil Mack twice a year, each of them, is a big task, and he still performs. He still has a very high grade. So I think he's very underrated. Eric Fisher, he has his ups and downs, but I think overall he's a solid tackle. But we do need some depth. We were very lucky last year that we didn't have an injury to those guys, because I think we would have been screwed if any of those guys go down. So tackle depth, and then finally inside linebacker, which we kind of addressed with Anthony Hitchens. So maybe that's not too much of a need. Maybe draft a guy, kind of develop him a little bit. But I like the combination of Ragland and Hitchens. So starting with our top position needs, defensive line, and outside linebacker, which is just the front 5 in our 3-4 scheme. I think one guy we should look at is Dontari Poe. Obviously, there's some familiarity there because he was a Chief before he was drafted by us. The year that he left, he hadn't had the best year of his career, and he wanted to go to a place where they played a 4-3 system so he could rush the passer more. He had a pretty good season with the Falcons. From what I've seen, they don't have any plans of bringing him back. Maybe I'm wrong, fact check me. But Dontari Poe, bringing him back and playing him at nose and kind of in that nickel formation where he can play end with Chris Jones, I think he's a very flexible player. He's very athletic, and like I said, there's familiarity there. So he would be a good fit. He had a great grade last year of 81.5. These grades are based on Pro Football Focus. I'm a big Pro Football Focus fan. I know it's not the end all be all, but I think it's a very good measuring stick for players. Also, I think a very, very underrated player right now. I'm not hearing too much about him, and I follow a lot of guys on Twitter that tweet a lot about free agency. I haven't heard too much about Trent Murphy. He was injured in 2017. He's an outside linebacker for the Redskins. He was injured in 2017, so he didn't play. But his 2016 season was great. He has improved every single season. I think this last year was his 4th year in the league, so he was a late round pick. He was on a 4-year contract, so his rookie contract is over, obviously, and he's a free agent. I haven't seen any reports of the Redskins trying to bring him back. His 2016 grade was 81.5. And, obviously having Ryan Kerrigan on the opposite side helped him. But, in Kansas City, he would have a guy like Justin Houston. So I think Trent Murphy is someone that we can bring on, and he can give us a lot of help. Because I'm not the biggest believer in Dee Ford. Personally, I think he's too small. I think he gets injured too much. Obviously, Trent Murphy is injured, but it's only one injury. Dee Ford has been injured like every year. So Trent Murphy. Also, Junior Galette. Junior Galette, also a Redskins outside linebacker. His grade last year was 82.4. I think he would be an excellent complement to Justin Houston on the opposite side. Now that we lost Tamba, and like I just said, Dee Ford isn't the most consistent player in the world. I think Junior Galette brings some experience. He's, I believe he's 29 years old, so he's not, he's still in his prime. And I think he would be fairly cheap because he has an injury history. So he would be an option. Barkevious Mingo, he's an outside linebacker. I know he's had ups and downs in his career. I don't know too much about him. I've just kind of looked at his PFF grade. It's 72.1, so it's average. Nothing crazy. But I think he would be someone that we can bring on for depth and some special teams play, and he would be a solid addition. Sheldon Richardson. As of right now, he's still out there. I know he's going to have a lot of interest from other teams, but he is a perfect system fit. He's played with Bob Sutton before. I think he would be a great addition. I mean, that's a splashing name, so the price tag might be a little bit high, but I think he'd be worth a look, and see what we can get for him, what we can pay for him. Sorry. Shamar Stevens. Shamar Stevens is the, I believe he plays for the Vikings. Let me double check. Yeah, so Shamar Stevens is Minnesota Vikings defensive tackle. Now, I know he plays in a 4-3, so I'm not sure exactly how that transition would go. His PFF grade was 72.4 last year. I know he wasn't a starter, but I think, again, he would be good depth. And bringing him on, I think, would be a cheap contract, and like I said, good depth. Daquan Jones, again, he played in a 4-3 with the Titans. Had a very good year, an 80.8 PFF grade. I think he is not the most ideal fit for our 3-4 scheme because he is a longer type player. I think he's like 6'7", I believe. Let me look at his measurables. Let me see here. Yeah. Oh no, he's 6'3". Okay, never mind. He's 6'3", 317. He's 26 years old, so he could be a fit for us. I thought he was bigger. I'm sorry. He's an option as well. I have who else do I have? Bo Allen. Bo Allen for the Philadelphia Eagles was a nose tackle for them. He's a big dude. I believe he's like 330 pounds, which I think we need at nose tackle because size was an issue for us last year, and we just couldn't stop anybody. So he's 6'2", 333, 26 years old, and his PFF grade last year was 74.5. So again, not splashy names. These are just names that I think we could bring on for fairly cheap, and it wouldn't really break our cap situation. Obviously, we can't sign all of these guys, but these are just options. Frosty Rucker played for the Cardinals. I believe they play a 3-4, so he would be a fit. His PFF grade was 76.4. Justin Ellis for the Raiders. Again, they play a 4-3. I think they play like a hybrid defense. I'm not sure. But his PFF grade was 80.6. He's a big guy. He's 26 years old as well, so he kind of fits that whole mentality that Veach has right now of making the team younger. All these guys fit that, by the way. I think the oldest guy on here is 29. That's Junior Galette, I believe. So all these guys are young. Most of them can be fairly cheap because they won't have the biggest market. There are, like I said, some obvious guys here, but most of them are guys that I've just kind of found that are kind of under the radar and people aren't talking about them too much. So I was at Frosty Record, Justin Ellis. Angelo Blackson. I forgot who he played for. So he played for the Titans as well. So both Daquan Jones and Angelo Blackson played for the Titans. And he had a PFF grade of 74.1. Again, these aren't guys that are going to blow your mind, with, like we signed Muhammad Wilkerson, which he just got signed today by the Packers. These are guys that you can bring in. They can compete fairly cheap, and they can be potential starters because they're young. They still have room to develop. They're going into the prime, most of them. So these are guys that we can bring on. And that is my last defensive lineman, I believe, Angelo Blackson. All right, so let's move on to corner. I think that's our second or third, I guess, position of need. I think Prince Amukamara is a real option. I haven't heard too much talk about him. I believe he's still available as of now. He had an 81.2 grade. He played with the Bears last year. I believe he brings a lot of value. I think he's 28 years old, so he's still in his prime. I think he would be an excellent fit for us. Let's see, let's go down the list here. Rashaan Melvin, I believe he played for the Colts. Let me double check here. Rashaan Melvin. He's a big corner. He played for the Colts. 84.9 PFF grade. Excellent player. I think he had a really good season. He's 6'2", 194, so a big corner. I know the Chiefs kind of like those big corners. So he could be an option. My personal favorite guy to bring on is EJ Gaines. I think EJ Gaines would be perfect for us. I know he might be a little pricey because the market for him is kind of up there. He is an ex-Buffalo Bill, 26 years old. He's from Independence, Missouri. So, I mean, he's from the area, so I think he would be a very good fit for us. His PFF grade, like I said, was, 86.6. So he's the highest graded guy on my list right now, and I think he would be excellent. Kyle Fuller, I know the Bears tendered him, so he would be kind of hard to get because the Bears can match any offer. But he's worth a shot, I think. His PFF grade was 84.3. And obviously the relationship with his brother here, with Kendall, would be excellent. But I know he would be kind of hard to get. Ross Cockrell, I believe I'm saying his name right. Ross Cockrell, I know he played for the Steelers. But most recently he played for the Giants. And I believe no one has picked him up yet. Ross Cockrell is interesting. He has good size. He's 6 foot. 81.6 PFF grade. I think he would be a solid addition. Quinton Dunbar. These players, like, I've seen them before on, when I'm watching games, but I don't really follow them too much, so I have to look who they play for. Quinton Dunbar is a 6'2", 197-pound cornerback that played for the Redskins, and he's 25 years old. And his PFF grade last year was 80. So these guys are kind of flying under the radar. There are probably a few teams interested in them, but the market for them isn't like too wild. So there aren't many bidders as far as I can see. So Quinton Dunbar, Mike Hilton, I believe he played for the Colts. I could be wrong. No, Steelers and Jaguars. So Mike Hilton, he's kind of a smaller corner, so he could probably be a slot corner. He's 5'9", but he had an 83.6 PFF grade. So like all these guys, I'm basing it mostly on the PFF scale because I believe in this scale very, very much. I know it's, like I said, it's not the end all be all, but Mike Hilton is a good option as well. And now we're going to move on to safety. Let's move on to safety. So Michael Thomas, I think for the Miami Dolphins he's a big. Oh wait, no, that's the receiver. That's a 6'3". Miami. He's a 5'11". Okay, he's a 5'11" safety, kind of a small guy, but he had a great year. 79.7 PFF grade, so he would be I feel like a cheap option. So him, and let's see what other safeties I have in here. Trey Boston. I know his name's kind of floating around a lot because he was in an excellent secondary with the Chargers. I don't see anyone has picked him up yet. So Trey Boston's an option. He's a big guy, 6'1". And his PFF grade was 81.4. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think the safety issue can be fixed by re-signing Steven Terrell. He had an 84.9 PFF grade. I mean, he's a solid player. Like, let me look up his measurables. He's 5'10", 197, so he's not the biggest guy, but I think he could fit very well in our system, playing back there with Eric Berry and kind of rotating with Eric Murray and Daniel Sorensen. So we have options, I believe, and we could bring it back for fairly cheap. So I think he could fix a lot of things just by, re-signing him. That is all of my safeties. Guards. A guard. Josh Klein for the Tennessee Titans. Josh Klein, 75.8 PFF grade. Again, he wouldn't be too expensive because he's not, the most flashy player. He's the only guy I have on here. I had Andrew Norwell as well, but obviously he just signed an enormous contract. I knew we weren't going to get him because we can't afford him. But I think Josh Klein would be solid depth at that position. I think he could win that left guard position. And then backup tackle, depth. Cameron Fleming. I believe he was an ex-Patriot. Yep. 6'6", 317, 25 years old. PFF grade of 78.3. So he was a solid tackle as well. I think he could come in and compete with Eric Fisher, honestly, because like I said, I'm not the biggest Eric Fisher fan. So he could compete with him. And if, worst case scenario, he's just a depth guy. So that's my list so far. I'll kind of react to what the Chiefs do throughout free agency. Like I said, obviously we can't sign all of these guys, but I think our first focus should be signing defensive line and pass rushers. I think that should be our number one focus because this year we don't have a first round pick. So we really have to focus on, bringing in guys that can help us. And I don't know how, aggressive they're going to be in terms of trying to win this year. I know it's Patrick's first year. I honestly believe that as much as I just want to win now, I think we should be patient and wait for 2019 because I think that's our most realistic window. Just because, Patrick will have a year under his belt. Our offense will have more chemistry. And then we'll have more cash to spend since we won't have dead money in our books. So, I still think we should go after some of these young guys because they can translate over 2019. But as of now, that's my list. I will update you guys on who I think maybe we should add more. I know I said I might talk about the AFC West, but I kind of wanted to break it down a little bit more and talk in detail of all these players that I've kind of been looking into. All these players, most of them play 3-4 defense or has some familiarity with our system. Some of them have played in 4-3, but the possibility of them transitioning to a 3-4 defense I think is pretty realistic. So that's my video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, fact check me. Maybe I screwed up on one of these. If you guys have a better grading system, let me know. I like PFF, but there are other grading systems out there. I want to get into looking at film and breaking these guys down exactly and kind of learning how to scout a little bit and seeing if they're an exact fit for us. So that's my free agency video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try to put out more football content because right now it's the time of the year where all these teams are so active. They're getting ready for the draft, free agency obviously, then OTAs and training camp and preseason, and then the season starts. So there's a lot of action going on right now. The league year starts tomorrow.